things behind the scenes are getting brought up to the surface. There is emotion being brought up to the surface within the whole collective consciousness, all with a certain intention. And in this video, I'm going to show you about the purge of 2020, something that is currently going on, something that is coming more into light, and exactly what you need to know about it. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron, and I help people expand their consciousness and raise their vibration by making spirituality practical and relatable. So this video, I'm going to be sharing with you something called the purge. Now, this isn't like the movie The Purge, where I'm talking about like you're going to be walking outside and there's going to be a whole bunch of people that are able to do whatever they want. It's complete anarchy or anything like. I didn't even see that movie, to be honest with you. I just know that that's I heard about it or something like that. But I'm talking about purge in the way that it is normally used when we talk about plant medicine. And it's a symbol for something that's going on the planet right now. Now, maybe you've seen some of my other videos on what is called the Great Awakening. Now, the Great Awakening is about right now a lot of things that priorly been in the dark, things that the government is doing, not even the government, it's like behind the government. The government's just kind of like a puppet show that keeps a lot of people like distracted and kind of like immersed into the game. But behind that, there are different events that are orchestrated and certain power dynamics at play that then keep people in a certain state of consciousness. Now, let me show you this. This is what I've shared this in the Great Awakening videos. I'll link the playlist below as well for the Great Awakening because it'll explains my perspective on a lot of this. And like I said, always do your own research. I'm not here to tell you exactly what to believe. I've just looked into it quite a bit myself, and this is what I've come to the conclusion of. Now, in general, what's happening is people are kept in fear and anger because when people are in fear and anger, they're much easier to control. Plus, they're much more likely to look to authority for certainty and to be told what to do and say, okay, that's what I'll do. And what has happened is because of the media, because of different things, different aspects of this, there's been a lot of people that have been kept in this fear and anger, especially what's been projected out. Now, the thing is if you were, let's use the symbol of this, and this, I believe that 2020, this is what it's all about. This is what's happening. It's happening for a purpose though, because the vibration on the planet is increasing. And there are people that know the planet vibration is increasing, and they're gonna do whatever they can to keep the vibration low so that people are more easy to control. This is a time that has been talked about for thousands of years, many different ancient texts. This is something that I've learned from the book The Law of One, also called The Raw Materials. Dolores Cannon is something I normally will tell people that they can watch. The Convoluted book, The Convoluted Universe books 1 through 3 are great for this. But they kind of explain who we are at a greater sense and how we came here to be a part of this shift in consciousness, part of what is called the Great Awakening. And what happens is a lot of the things that were priorly in the dark are being brought into the light. It's exactly what a purge is. It is when there are things that are in the dark being brought to the surface. Now, the problem is that we've been kept in this fear and anger mentality, and therefore our vibration has been kept low. But the thing is now, the time we're moving in, is we're taking our power back. I truly believe that. You'll see a lot of people that may be in fear with certain things happening. I believe that this is a part of the process of this getting brought up so that we can clear it and then let it go. Because the way that this works as well is we have the earth right here. There are energy fields around our body, and there are also energetic fields around everyone else's body on the planet, plus around Earth in general. So what certain people have learned, we can call them the elite, whatever we want. They've learned that if they do somewhat dark, very dark things, but if they keep people in that control mentality, they're then able to keep the vibration in a certain range. And when that is in a certain range, then there's more ability to control. There's different aspects where you can then control the resources, you can control the narrative, and there's different levels to this as well. If you do your research with it. Now, let me explain the analogy, why this is a good thing that things are getting brought up right now, because more people than ever before are being aware of things, and it's like they're questioning things. People are in their houses right now, they're questioning things. They're going down little rabbit holes. I've got friends that aren't even really into this information asking me questions, and they're starting to get into it. I've got friends whose parents are like questioning things and realizing something's not adding up. Something feels fishy. And if you go to even certain celebrities' profiles, there's people that are starting to figure out, you know, there's these code words that they use sometimes in reference to certain, you can call it certain conspiracy things. But there's some dark things that there are some major celebrities involved in. And part of this has to do with, you know, they show themselves too by using these weird code words. And what happens though is it's getting brought into the light. And as people get brought into the light, then people are becoming aware of it. And there are millions of people that are aware of this. And if you see their posts on Instagram, you see the comments, you'd be blown away. And there's things that a lot of people are saying no to. There's also a certain level of trying to keep people from saying certain things. Unfortunately, it's something that YouTube has also done, censoring certain things. So there's like certain things I can and can't say in this video if I want it to be if I want people to be able to see it, because otherwise it's very interesting the way it works right now. But understand that there's 6 corporations that own almost all the media, the major mainstream media. And what's happening though is that's beginning to crumble, and people are starting to see kind of the smoke and mirrors with it. Not to say that there's not this thing going around, and you know, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying it's a lot of things are very exaggerated and made to look a certain way to keep people in a certain state. Now, if you were to do something called plant medicine, for example, this could be something called AYA, you know, that's like the short initials for it. Now, what would happen is you would take it, you would have that of there's a lot more people are experimenting with this. I only recommend looking into it if it's something that's really calling you. However, I've done it before in Costa Rica, and at a place that's medically licensed to do so, and where it's legal. And I just throw that out there. But I went there, I did it, and what happens is you take this, you have a bucket, you have like a mattress, it brings up stuff. It brings up, and you do something called purging. A purge is when you release. You may release some type of stored emotion. You may release it through many different ways. You may burp. You may move your body in weird ways. You may kind of twitch here and there. It's a release of energy. You may yawn. You may sneeze. There's many different ways of going through and going through this purge process, but it's a release of energy. When I've done it before, I've had experiences where I remember childhood things that I completely forgot about. I remember one time when I did it, I was experimenting and wondering why there were parts of myself felt worthy, and why I felt like I was people pleasing. And what I realized is that there was a time when I was like 6 years old, when my parents were divorced, so I'd go back and forth from my mom's to my dad's house, and every time I come back from my mom's to my dad's house, my dad would have an action figure on our bed. And we'd ask him why, and he'd say, oh, it's because I love you, or something like that. You know, it's like no real reason, just had an action figure on the bed. Then what happened is eventually came home and there was no action figure on the bed. I had this image, this memory of how sad I felt when I came home and there was no action figure, because I correlated to that maybe he didn't love me anymore. You see, this is kind of like the purging, and just becoming aware of that memory was allowing me to release. And the parts of what's happening right now in the world is the vibration is actually increasing. You would think that it's actually getting lower because of all the fear and all the mentality of what's going on. You know, this is the scale of consciousness. You got fear, anger, neutrality, willingness, reasoning, love, joy. But here's what's really happening. You would say, oh, well, then maybe Aya or some type of plant medicine, maybe this is a low vibrational thing because it makes you feel these emotions and it brings up the stuff that hasn't been processed. But actually, it is a high vibrational energy that then brings up anything that's not in alignment with it. And that's why when I take it and I have certain intentions of working with different things, it will bring this stuff up for me to look through. And then once I feel it and I release it, I then begin to feel free. So that is what happens. This is a part of a process, and purging in the very same way is happening right now on the planet in many different ways. Part of that purging is us becoming aware of the fear and anger that's happening, that may be actually, legit and called for, but then there's also an aspect that may be a little bit exaggerated or a lot exaggerated, and then there's also the stuff that's in the dark being brought into the light when it comes to the things that have been going behind the scenes, when it comes to these elite people and things like that. Like I said, I know it sounds out there for a lot of people, but if you do the research, yeah, I think you might find and see certain patterns. Back in 2012, I looked into it for a couple months and went hard. Anytime I get into something, I go kind of hardcore into it to study it, and then eventually I had to get out of it because it's kind of dark to study some of this stuff. You know, you wonder why society is set up the way it is, and it's because then there's easier ways to mitigate the resources and to control different aspects. But here's the thing that you'll learn from Dolores Cannon or even the Law of One. We come here to Earth to remember who we are. And I know it sounds out there when some people hear that, but we come here, we're eternal spiritual beings who forget who we are so we can then remember who we are. And part of the Great Awakening is a great remembering. And part of that great remembering is an increasing of our vibration that then brings within us all these things that we weren't aware of, both collectively and individually. So the other thing I'd encourage you to look through is it's not only the corruption, you know, people are starting to see the corruption in what's going on. So many of the major CEOs stepped down from their companies within the last couple months of 2019. Many of them moved, we call them whales in the financial industry, took out almost all their money a month before the stock market crashed. Could they have known something was going to happen? You see, there is interesting things going on where people are becoming, this dark is getting brought into light and things are becoming obvious. And that obviousness is like, oh, maybe there's more to this, and that's having people go within. Also because everyone's at home right now, so they're going within. As I make this video, everyone's at home at least. Now, the other thing we're going to be purging is belief systems. Now, belief systems, I'll say one of them as well. People with 9-to-5 jobs right now, there's a lot of people that I believe that maybe, you know, there's a lot of people that may not have jobs right now because of everything going on. And I want to encourage you just to trust this process and to know that it may bring you something even better. Maybe this is your call to actually go for what you're passionate about, which may not have been that job. And maybe there's something else out there that's even better, and this is a blessing. And I know that because, I used to work a 9-to-5 sales commission job, and I know a lot of those jobs aren't going to be really relatable anymore. Retail jobs, everything's going online. You know, I got out 3 years ago, but in general, also control. I'm learning in my own life. I have a certain level of control that I try to put over what I want to create in my life and even my own willpower. Here's what I'm learning though. As the vibration increases on the planet, what is happening is the old ways of going about things, the control mechanisms and the willpower and the personal development is still powerful, but there's a new, better way to go about these things, and it has to do with having a higher vibration. It has to do with surrendering, letting go of attachment, letting go of control, and being, enjoying this moment now, not trying to escape it. You see, the third density from the books, The Law of One, the third density is that of control, separation, willpower. The solar plexus is what it was representative of. We are moving from third density into fourth density. Fourth density is the connection to the heart. It's our connection to all others. It's where reality becomes much more magical. Things become much more about vibration. That's what's happening right now. We're making this transition. And as we make this transition, the vibration on the planet is increasing. And as the vibration on the planet increases, it is bringing up and allowing us to purge out the negative emotion that has been suppressed, that has been there for a long time. And as it comes up, we can then look at it. So what do we do about this? What we do about this is we take an inventory of our own belief systems of things that aren't working. We start to trust more in our life. We start to see certain things from our past. That as I was explaining that situation earlier with seeing on the bed the action figure, the toy or whatever. In the same way, what would I have to believe is true to be having and to feel unworthy, to be attracting this kind of people into my life, to be doing this, to be doing that? What would I have to believe? And then as you become aware of those belief systems, you let them go, you become free. It's always a choice. The problem is that sometimes these belief systems give us some sort of positive payoff or negative payoff that we're not aware of that fuels us. So we're afraid to let it go. And there's a story there that this belief system has always been me. But every moment you are changing. Every moment you're changing. Every moment is a new moment. And the thing is you can create a greater degree of change from what you are experiencing now to what you want to experience. And all you got to do is let go of that old story. Let go of the story you tell yourself about who you are. And as you let go of that story, you will begin to become more free. So this is really about choice, letting go, and giving yourself permission to be in these higher vibrational states. Of being aware of where your attention is. Whatever you focus on, you feel. Of knowing that there is more going on behind the scenes and doing your own research to where when you start to question it, things become obvious and you start to really take your power back and stop feeding it to the media and all these other things. And if you haven't seen, I have a video that is on 3 hidden things that I think are coming to the surface, 3 hidden agendas in a way. And people have been really enjoying that video. I didn't realize it'd get so much attention, but I guess it resonates with people. I'll go ahead and link that below. Go ahead and check out that video, the 3 hidden agendas going on right now in the world that you may not know about. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know if you want me to do more on things like this, on the energy dynamics of what's going on behind the scenes. And as always, peace, much love, and namaste.